Come out to the island, get some fresh air, have a few laughs. Hello and welcome to Rotted Review of the Day, and today is World Trotting Wednesday, which means I am taking a look at the 2010 movie from South Korea, Bedevilled. Now, I had never seen this movie before, but what I found was a movie that followed the adage of there is no worse threat to man than man. This movie was very grounded in reality. There were no hauntings, no curses, no aliens, no ghosts. It was just the darkest depths of humanity's ability to be purposefully cruel. But within, there was also a very beautiful movie. It was very well acted, very well shot, and ultimately just really hauntingly beautiful. And I really enjoyed it. It was a gut punch. This was not an easy movie to watch. Certainly not the most disturbing I've ever seen, but it was not easy. So to get into more details than that, let's get into the categories. As always, 4 different categories, each one worth up to 25 points for a total possible score of 100 points. And the plot of this one, I gave a 21 out of 25. This follows the character of Haiwan, who is a woman that is living in Seoul, and she is just a bit cold. She lives her life with blinders on, just always looking at the ground, living her life, ignoring the world around her. If somebody is in need of help, she is the last person in the world you want to call, because she will just live her life right down. And an incident happens at work where she is basically forced to go on vacation. And after puttering around her apartment for a few days, she decides to finally answer her phone. And on the other end is Baknam Kim, a childhood friend who lives out on a remote island where Haiwan used to spend her childhood summers visiting her grandfather. And Baknam lives a very simple life, so she's constantly sending letters and phone calls and so forth to Haiwan. Hey, I know you're busy, but you should come out and visit. I miss you, things like that. And Haiwan finally decides, you know what, maybe I should go. At least for a week. Get some fresh air, relax for a bit, visit an old friend. What could go wrong? And when she goes out to the island, she gets introduced to Baknam Kim, now as an adult, as well as Baknam's daughter and her husband, and then gets introduced to the matriarchs of the island. All told, this is a very small, remote, rural island, just a handful of buildings, a singular cell phone repeater tower, some crops that they grow, some beehives where they collect honey and sell it back to the mainland, things like that. Very, very simple living, and just what the doctor ordered for Haiwan. And from there, the narrative kind of takes an interesting little sidestep, because we still keep the protagonist of Haiwan, but the movie starts to become more and more about Baknam. And her relationship with the other people on the island. We start to see beyond the veil a bit of the realities of Baknam's living situation, and that is basically of the mule of the island. She's the person that will be doing a lot of the hard work and never thanked for it. She'll be physically assaulted, sexually assaulted by her husband and others on the island. She is consistently surface level happy and really super duper happy to see Haiwan in just a very kind of childlike innocence level there. But there is something brewing under the surface, and as things start to get more extreme, we start to see more of that, and the movie really takes off from there. I don't want to get into too much more because then it's going to get into spoilers. Regardless, this movie takes a very raw look at Baknam's situation with the cruelty imposed upon her, and it is really difficult to watch. And it's also very difficult to watch within the context of the fact that we do keep the protagonist of Haiwan, who is, again, living life with blinders on. Not necessarily not seeing what's happening around her, but no, I don't see anything, and it's heartbreaking, and it's gut-wrenching, and all told, as far as the goal of art in so far as making you feel something, this it really did. All told, with the written plot, I have no problem giving it 21 out of 25 points. All the beats of the storytelling experience were really here, And this took some paths that I really wasn't expecting, as well as some paths that I think are not necessarily completely unique to Asian cinema or Asian horror films, but you find them more often within here. And one of those aspects of it is this narrative where you get introduced to the consequences of an action or an inaction or something, and it goes within the storyline, but it's confusing. You don't have the context behind the consequences, and then it backtracks and it shows you more of what you missed. Well, you didn't see that this person saw this, and now the consequences make sense. Now you have context, but you have context for what you've already seen, and I think that really hammers it home harder. It's much more impactful than a simple, A, B, C, D, E narrative. And I really, really like that, because it really just, it just hits you right here so hard. Like, oh my God, well, that's why that person was acting that way. Holy Lord. And I really do like that. So all told, the way it was written, the way it was fleshed out, the way the narrative was told, and the way the characters were developed, I really, really like this one. The Intent, I gave a 19 out of 25. Again, good gut punch, as well as a beautiful story and hauntingly gorgeous, well fleshed out characters. Some of them a bit Machiavellians, stereotype kind of thing. But even so, they were at the very least, ancillary characters. And I think one of the points of them was to get you to hate them. And boy, did I. But I think what it was setting out to achieve, it really did. The acting, I gave a 21 out of 25. I thought everybody in this movie did spectacularly well, but the real standout for me was Young-hee So, who played Bak Nam-kim, and she did an amazing job. The range that she was able to portray from the start of the movie to the end, and even when she's happy, having the kind of sorrow behind her eyes of, yes, I'm happy in this moment, but look at what happened to me before, and look at what I know is going to continue happening to me, as soon as this conversation is over, kind of thing. And you can see it in the eyes and in the performance, and everything is just really, really well done. So I have no complaints about the acting. I really thought it was stupendous. The technical, I gave a 17 out of 25. This was very small scale. This was very, very intimate, and this was a bit low budget, but everything served the narrative. As well as the makeup and blood and so forth effects that absolutely did happen. From a gore level, this is not an easy movie to watch as well, but really I think from an emotional level, it is way worse. But regardless, the makeup and the blood and the gore effects and so forth, that all worked really well. So camera work, direction, editing, all of that on a technical level, I was pretty darn impressed with. And that gives us a total of 78 out of 100 points. This is a movie that I would absolutely recommend, but it is not for the squeamish. This is not like Antichrist levels of awfulness, but regardless, it is not an easy watch. It is not, if you have problems with gore, if you have problems with cruelty, purposeful cruelty, rape, anything like that, this might not be the one for you. But if you're able to watch that kind of thing, and when you enjoy horror as an element of taking narratives and showing the raw side of humanity through the lens of extreme situations, then I would recommend this one. And I did think it was hauntingly beautiful with great characters that ultimately did come through in the end as being well-rounded. So that should about do it for my review of 2010's Bedevilled. If you like these videos, please click like and subscribe. If you want to support me further, my Patreon link is in the description below. Thank you very much for joining me here today. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. And remember, next time you want to watch a horror movie, first make sure that it's good and rotted.